Okay, I don't have, do? There is a consent agenda with 3 items on it: the affidavit of posting for today, the minutes from March 14th and April 2. Is there any request to pull a consent item? If not, is there a motion to pass it?
I make a motion to pass A, B, and C.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? Okay, number 3 is our only action agenda item this evening. It is for historic design review major for exterior modification to 411. What? No, I know. Let me start over. It's for historic design review major for exterior modification to 411 the Alameda. There's been a request from staff to continue this item to December
3rd.
Is it 3rd?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So my understanding of procedure is that, was there anything else from staff on the continuance, or it's pretty straightforward, just on the continuance? Would you like to elaborate at all, or?
It's very straightforward.
Okay,
It's pretty straightforward. We're asking for continuance due to some information that was received after the staff report was sent out.
okay,
So we're asking that you continue a date certain so that we can have it at the next hearing.
okay, great. Thank you. Any questions of staff regarding the continuance? My understanding of procedure is that we open up public comment but only for purposes of the continuance. Any public comment on as regards to the request for a continuance by staff only, not for as to the subject matter of the agenda item? If there's none, then public comments closed. Is there a motion to continue this item to the meeting in December, which someone said is December 3rd?
Third.
Okay, is there, that's the date certain. Is there a motion to continue the matter to December 3rd, 2024?
Did you want to make a comment?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Are you the applicant?
My comment isn't related to this.
Oh.
Okay.
What you're discussing.
Okay.
Is it for planning or for historic resources?
I'm sorry.
What's your comment as regards to?
It's regard to fencing that's being proposed for 701 Second Street.
Oh, that's not-
Okay, that sounds like maybe a planning commit, because right after this, we're gonna do the planning commission,
Okay.
identical to this. So maybe during the public comment for items not on the agenda, you'd like to say something about fencing on Second Street.
Okay.
Okay, great. All right, is back to where we were. Is there a motion to continue the HRB meeting or this, I'm sorry, this agenda item to the HRB meeting on December 3rd, 2024?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Oh, sorry.
No, you need to, that's great.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, and then what's all this other stuff? I don't think we do. Oh. Any comments from the board members or the city manager? There being none, is there a motion to adjourn the HRB meeting, and we'll quickly go right into the planning commission? All right,
So moved to adjourn.
second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Alright, HRB is concluded for November, and you have.
I don't care. I can just.
No.
All right. All right, well, then let's rock and roll here. All right, well, it is 4:06 p.m. and I would like to call the special planning commission meeting of Thursday, November 14th at to order. Sorry. Can we please stand for a pledge of allegiance? I'll just get us going. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner DeBreeze,
Here,
Commissioner Maderos,
Here.
Commissioner Pisano,
Here.
and Chair Aranda.
Here. All right, and moving on to agenda item number 2, consent. Is there someone in chambers that would want to speak on any of these items? Okay, then is there a motion and a second to approve the consent agendas?
So moved.
Second.
Great, with a motion from Commissioner Pisano and a second from Commissioner Maderos. Clerk, can we have a roll call?
Commissioner DeBreeze,
Yeah.
Commissioner Maderos,
Yes.
Commissioner Pisano,
Yes.
Chair Aranda.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Great. And then moving on to our action item, it looks like we also have a request from staff to continue the hearing. So December 3rd. Can I get a motion for that? Oh, I'm sorry. I can open up. Well, yeah, I can open up public comment then, right? Since we have someone here. Okay, sorry, I'm going to be moving back. I would like to open up for public comment. Public comments usually is 3 minutes long. If you're online, you can start now. Sorry, I don't have the skit. Items on the agenda. Okay. All right. Okay,
There's no public comment for items that aren't on the agenda.
because it's a special meeting.
I was gonna see if I could finish my question. And also no special meetings then. Okay, good to know. Well. I'm just like- Yeah, I'm just- we're good.
Since you already said, then let's just do it. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I am gonna open up for public comment just because we informed the. Sir, if you want to come up and state your name for the record. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, see. Yeah.
I'll prepare little paper clips and everything. This is good.
All right, sir. Well, thank you. Please state your name for the record.
Bill Allen. My wife Carmen and I live at 705 Second Street. And I'd like to take a few minutes this afternoon to discuss with you a proposed fencing project at 701 Second Street, and neighbors to my castles. I first would like to review Darn Letter from February. I want to point out a few, what in our opinion, are deficiencies in the letter. The letter says the two property lines are substantially the same. And there's a 25% difference in those two dimensions. And in our opinion, is dealing with that substantial difference. Now, can the people here tell me if Ron Reynolds is his function as a planning director?
He currently serves as their city manager. Yeah.
So
Well, he works with Erica, and but yes, he oversees that department. I would say, right, Don, unless you.
Right, we eliminated the planning director position with the budget.
Mhm.
So right now we have a contract service provider, Erica, serving as our acting planning director. And I am the city manager. And in review of the letter, real quick, I might add that I believe chapter 11-29 provides the authority to the city manager, not the planning director, to write the letter, so that's why it's come under my signature.
Okay. Is the planning committee familiar with this letter? Has this been reviewed by planning?
No, to answer your question, Bill, this matter is being taken up by the city council, and the city council will hold a hearing next Tuesday on this same matter.
All right.
At the time of this letter that was written, there was no due diligence done. A site impact study was not done. And it appears that this original document, which is probably a legal document, has been altered. And the altered version is going to be presented to the city council on Tuesday.
Got it.
On July 1st, we got an email from Don Reynolds, and he said that in the email that John Giffen and he were in agreement that the interpretation of the codes for the fencing was correct and the work was going to proceed. July 2nd, we hired an attorney.
Sir, just to let you know, your time has run up. But do you have any closing remarks just to, wrap it up?
Can I request just a couple more minutes?
And just to clarify that when we hold the hearing, he'll have a chance to say. as
To
much as
say,
he'd like.
yeah, and other,
He'll be able to make his case before the council.
yeah, and
Won't be restricted to the 3-minute time limit.
Appeal of an administrative decision to the council, is that
Right,
what that is?
right.
That's the time.
Yeah.
it is.
so in other words, sir, I would love to continue this or move this onto as a separate agenda item for our December 3rd meeting. And then we can have it on there, we can discuss it, you'll be able to mention what's going on.
December 3rd.
December 3rd.
Well, Mr. Chair,
So it's being appealed to the city
Oh,
council.
at city council,
November
oh.
19th. So that should be the end of it.
that should
Okay,
be
got
the end
it.
of it.
Pending legal action, right?
So do you understand what's happening?
No, I didn't. I'm not actually.
You received something referred to as an administrative decision. That means a decision made by the city manager who's authorized to make decisions like that. You don't agree with it. So, and that's okay. So your remedy is to appeal that decision to the city council, which I just learned is going to happen Tuesday night. So Tuesday night, you'll have ample opportunity to talk about dates and everything else, your pictures, all of that stuff is the stuff for the appeal on Tuesday, not tonight.
Will I be limited to 3 minutes at that time?
No,
You'll be
Okay,
able
I think
to,
so.
you'll be able to state your concerns and explain what's
Is that the regular city council meeting?
yes.
correct.
Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Hope it goes well for you on Tuesday.
Perfect. All right, so now moving on to the action item. So, oh, I'm sorry, public comment. Since I opened it up here on the floor, is there anyone on Zoom? Got it, thank you. With that being said, moving on to action item number 3. Again, it's we are being told by staff that we want to continue this item, and that's correct. Right, all right, cool.
Yes.
And
Yes, for the record.
all right, just for the record, sorry, I'm just getting it in. And then, and that's for December 3rd, correct?
Yes.
Great, all right, thank you. So I just want to make sure that's recorded and people see it. All right, so with that being said, can I get a motion to continue action item number 3? Historic resource design review major for exterior modifications to historic site 411.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Oh, second.
All right, with a motion from Commissioner Maderos and a second from Commissioner DeVries. Clerk, can I have a roll call?
Commissioner DeVries,
Yes, sir. Do you want these back so you don't have to make more of them for the council? If you're gonna pass the same thing out at the council, then save you some copy charges. Sorry for interrupting, but yeah, I wrote up. I do.
It's fine, it's the back of it. Way
I know, but I know.
Way ahead of us.
Thank you. All right, sorry, so going back, can we have a roll call?
Motion second.
Yeah.
Commissioner DeBreeze,
Yes.
Commissioner Maderos,
Yes.
Commissioner Pisano,
Yes.
Chair Aranda,
Yes.
motion carried.
Great, and then other than that, all right, well, we're just gonna continue this agenda, right? So do you, I know you had some comments, Commissioner Pisano, would you like to just move that to the next planning commission meeting, or do you wanna?
Well, I would like it at least noted that if it's going to be included in the agenda next time.
All right.
Yeah, I just had some concerns regarding uniformity of procedural process. Codes, need to understand that more, I'm speaking personally, and then just, from my knowledge. And then also, some concerns with that roundabout that continues to be a concern, and signage. So I'd like those, included in the next meeting. So procedural process, uniformity of it, codes, municipal codes, roundabout, and the signage.
Got it. Thank you, and then I'm sorry, I must have skipped over number 4, action item to review and discuss, so is there a staff report for any of that?
The very first one, we did provide a proposal for the commission. Just to give an overview of a firm that we're proposing to serve as our historic preservation authority. In the back is a scope of work for Rincon Consulting Inc. and some biographies of the staff they would assign to our city. Meg Clovis in October announced her retirement. And so this is our proposal to replace her. And we feel that this is a deeper bench, and hopefully we'll get our historic preservation codes updated as Commissioner DeVries mentioned we needed to do, look at those again, and update all of our historic resources processes. So there's this number 3 scope of work, lists about 10 things that they can help us with. And I'm excited to bring this group forward to the council on the 19th to award a contract for them to replace Meg, so we don't have any absence. Meg is helping us through the end of the month.
Great, thank you.
Question, with regards to the proposal and then the expenses here, is it comparable or more than what we are paying Meg?
We have a retainer for $50,000 a year, and we managed to get this down close to that. A lot of these applicants will pay for their own expenses, their own review, so that doesn't impact our budget.
Doesn't impact it?
No.
Okay.
Any other comments from commissioners? No. All right, any public comment?
No speaker cards and no hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you. Moving on to B, 4B, Historic Resources Guide.
Is the oral report? Magda has a report on that?
Is there a report on there?
Oh, she has a few slides, okay.
It's me, I'm gonna do.
Got it. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. This is part of staff's kind of ongoing effort to clear up some things within the code, to make it easier for staff and to make it easier for the public. We have a number of things that we are working on that we are eventually bringing to you. One of them is signs. We're still working on that. This is another thing we've identified. We've also identified the need for some historic resources, which we're working on, and you will see something from us hopefully soon. It's becoming a little bit more complicated than we initially thought it was, but we are working on it. And it's all in an effort to really provide materials and assistance to the public so that we can advise them of things they need to do, number one, make it clear what they need to do, number two, and then through those two things, it does make it easier on staff. One of the concerns we have is within the chapter that lists what requires a major and a minor design review. So for the most part, there are very few things that do require technically under this section of the code, design review through staff. Now, the exception would be that within our historic section of the code, there are certain things that require a major or a minor, and it's based on the age of the structure, and it's anything over 45 years old. But because that 45 years old is within that, there are a number of improvements that we aren't going to catch for newer structures. And that is where our concern lies. So right now, for example, the only thing that requires a minor design review is a first floor addition to a single family residential property. And then for a major design review, it's a second floor addition or new structures. The concern with that is that if I have a new building, so for example, the new gas station that you have approved, and they decide to change something, they are not 45 years old and the code doesn't require them to get a planning permit. So if they wanted to remove all their landscaping, there's nothing in the code that says I get to look at it. So that is a concern. So we are proposing to change that because I don't think that was the intention. I think maybe at the time, most of the structures were older. And so they got caught up in the 45 years or older, but we do have some new structures. We're working on an infill amendment. So potentially in the future, we'll have some new multifamily. And we want to ensure that within what the law tells us we can do, we want to make sure that we're kind of catching what they are doing. And they do have to go through planning. So what we're recommending is continue with the existing, which requires the first floor addition as a minor design review. But second floor additions be a minor design review. Now, there's reason for this, for keeping them at staff for two reasons. One, the Housing Accountability Act limits your purview on additions to a residential dwelling. So there are very narrow guidelines that we would have to follow anyways. However, that being said, if it's a historic structure, that's an entirely different thing, right? So this would just be, I built my house 10 years ago and I would like to add on. The second would be the SB9 2-unit developments, which if you aren't familiar with it, I can go over it, but that is again a state mandated thing. It's ministerial, so it wouldn't be a planning commission item anyways, but right now no permit is required. They could just do it, right? They get caught up in the new structure thing, but it goes back down to staff. It's an awkward situation the way the code is written right now. Now, under that minor design review, then we bring in multifamily, commercial, and industrial properties. So we'd like a staff level permit to be required for any extra accessory structure that they want to build. If they want to change their building, if they're changing something about the facade that you can't see from the street. So maybe it's a industrial building, and at the rear of the property that no one ever sees, they want to go from a door to a roll-up door, but we kind of want to check the circulation, right? Make sure they're not eliminating parking, causing some issues. If they need to restripe their parking lot, we're going to make sure that the new stalls comply with code. All minor things really that staff just wants to look at under the purview of planning, give them a condition of approval if we wanted to, what was warranted, and then go from there. So for a minor design review, the process shouldn't take too long. Ultimately, it is up to the applicant, right? Because if someone doesn't give me everything I need, it does make it take too long. But with a minor design review, you're probably looking at 10 days from application to approval, unless there is any concerns that we have, and then we can work it out. With anything within the code, whether it is minor or not, staff can always elevate it. So if someone all of a sudden came to me and said, well, I'm minor, but I'm doing a facade modification, I'm changing the landscaping, and I'm adding a trash enclosure, and I'm adding accessory structures. If it becomes too overwhelming, we would always elevate that up to a major, which is then reviewed by a planning commission. So those are some of the items that we are recommending added to the minor design review permit to catch those newer buildings. For major would be a change in use, custom or new home, which again, we do still have limited things we can say with those. Major site layouts, so if someone was to significantly pave over a portion of their site, or they're changing the circulation, let's say we have an existing building and it's just a normal restaurant and now we're adding a drive-through and the circulation is getting changed, we feel that should be major. Facade modifications that face the street, again, all new buildings, same as existing, those are kind of the things we're recommending be for major. And I know that was a really long list for both of those, but what staff is looking for from you is guidance on, first of all, how do you feel about these items that we've added? Do you want to require planning permits for those things? I do recommend that we do, that would be my recommendation. And then if you're okay with the list, is there anything else you want to add to the list or move around from major to minor? We're looking for feedback from you so that we can start drafting up this chapter. I don't want it to go too long with this chapter where it doesn't really require a lot of permits, because I've had a couple situations where people are calling and asking to do stuff, and I feel uncomfortable that they don't require a planning permit, to be honest. That is the end of my presentation, so it's really open to you to tell me what you guys think on this subject.
So you're saying that if it's a minor design review, they would not need a planning
They
permit?
go to it's planning director level. So someone would come to me and say, I'm applying for a minor. I have an industrial building and I want to put an accessory structure at the rear of my property. So they have to give me a plan. I'm going to review it. Things that we are looking for are setbacks. What is the use of the structure? Because sometimes
Mhm.
that's an issue. Are they removing any parking? Unfortunately, parking is a big deal, right? And sometimes people want to do things on their property where they're removing parking stalls and they are then coming out of compliance with the code. That's a problem. Or they could be removing landscaping or trees or changing the circulation by sticking a accessory structure in the back. Right now, it technically does not require planning purview as a part of a permit. And so, we're not catching some of these things.
And this is for commercial,
We're recommending that for commercial, industrial, and multifamily. Multifamily, same thing, right?
yeah, it's like a, like apartment
Kind of
use.
sticking some accessory structures in there, you're gonna wanna know what's changing on that site from a planning perspective, right? What's changing on that site that allows them to be able to do this thing that they wanna do? We need to make sure they're not coming out of compliance with our zoning ordinance or municipal code. And do we have concerns with it?
And for the multi-home, like the multi-single family or whatever, how many, or would you just say any multi, like what if it's just a a townhome with 2 units on it, and then they just really want to just change some landscaping, add some rose bushes or something to make it nice, and now they have to go get a permit, and
Yeah,
it's this
so
whole.
within the code, we will be specific to the zoning designations that it applies to. So if I'm a duplex on whatever zoned lot or within a PD, it wouldn't apply. It would be more of your multifamily
Got
or the
it.
residential portion. It would be more of I'm an apartment complex or I'm a condo. Let's say I'm a condominium project or whatever the case may be.
Got it.
It would be more for that. If you are a single family residential dwelling, if you are a duplex, duet, whatever the case may be, you're gonna be exempt from that.
Got it. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, if any changes are being made, is there gonna be a draft somewhere where we can go see where all these changes might come up?
So typically what's done is the things that are done at staff level, you would never even hear of. You don't hear of them now, they're just made, right? So there's nothing that's published, there's nothing that's visible, it's just staff level. We could set up tiers where there's a staff level, there's like a zoning administrator level, and then there's planning commission level, but it starts getting into a cost and time factor, right? So if I'm gonna tell every industrial property that wants to build an accessory structure that they have to go to zoning administrator, those permits get more expensive, right? Because we'd have to factor in that sort of staff level review, which would be a hearing, noticing,
Jeez.
staff reports. We could require as part of, if you wanted to, we can require that people actually go talk to their neighbors before they come to apply for a permit, if you are concerned about it. And we could have a form, and they have to actually go try to talk to their neighbors to the best of their ability. Obviously, people aren't gonna answer their door sometimes. But we could require neighbor notification before they come to us, if you are concerned about that. And then for the planning commission items, right, so I have a building, I now wanna turn it into a Starbucks drive-through, or whatever the case may be. That again is before you, a noticed hearing, it does go through staff first, right, cause there's a lot we have to work out. But, that would be a noticed item, and it's for the bigger items.
So, David, I interpreted your question a little differently.
Oh, sorry.
Like, would there be a red line ordinance, that you'd be able to see? What's?
I'm sorry, actually, it's up.
We're getting more information than that's good.
Okay, so yeah, there would be a red line document in draft form that maybe you guys could share, right?
We're trying to, sorry, I totally misunderstood that one. We're trying to get some feedback. If you're like, absolutely not, I don't want to change it at all, then it stays as it is. If you are open to it or have a strong feeling about one of these items, what we're gonna do is take the feedback from tonight and start creating. We'll either have to, I haven't decided on this specific chapter. Is it gonna be, we're gonna kind of cross out some things and just fix some language? Or are we gonna be able to repeal and replace? I don't know.
So you just mentioned that you wanted feedback tonight. You don't have time to.
Yeah,
There's time. I mean, yeah, so.
I would like to have more time to
Yeah.
take a look at the list.
The
one more
list,
time.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, rather than make a decision tonight.
Okay.
I agree.
And Liz, you sent the slides to the question?
No. That's what I was gonna suggest, Mr. Chair, is that this is obviously a big and important topic, and I checked a couple times, the slides weren't in the agenda, in the packet materials. I'd really like some time to carefully study that list to
Yeah.
see if there's other things that need to be added as you asked, or deleted, or what have you. But it's really hard to kind of respond on the fly. So one thought might be to, if Liz could give us, send us the slides, and then we all commit to looking at it, thinking about it, coming up with things, and then on December 3rd,
We'll
which
add
will
it
be
to
here in
the
a few weeks, add it again as a discussion item, so we can
Yeah.
have a more substantive conversation about your questions.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And right now, it's
And-
just.
and
yes,
along
you-
with-
It's on the fly.
Along with recommendations that you might feel
Yeah.
that would be, to help with your concerns.
I do want to point out that the state of California does limit some of our purview on residential dwellings and developments. So we do have to, it is a fine line that we have to kind of walk with requiring planning review of additions and stuff. Again, on a normal house, not on a historic house, that is entirely different,
Got it.
right?
Yeah, the only feedback I have for you is just, I don't mind making things, simplifying things. But I also don't want to, just skip a step or make it hard for residents or whoever to make changes to their property, right? But I definitely get it if it means saving some costs on permits. I mean, and that we can pass those savings down to our residents in town. I don't mind, but that's the only feedback I have for right now until we can get something in front of us.
This is not gonna help anyone, really. So this is more, do you want planning to start reviewing some of these items, which we can review for the 45 years and older. But on our newer projects, they are not required to come through planning.
Mhm.
So again, the gas station could go up tomorrow. And 4 weeks down the road, they can rip out all their landscaping and I can't say no.
Mm,
Right? An
That's-
industrial building that was built 10 years ago can put a bunch of accessory structures in their backyard. And they didn't have to go through planning and not the backyard, the rear yard. And they
Yeah.
didn't go through planning and now, oops, we're missing 30 parking stalls.
So are you, are you sensing urgency in any decision on this because there are some things coming down the pipeline?
There are some things, and there are some things that have occurred where I've sort of fudged it a little.
Okay, so are we, so if
Because
we,
I get very uncomfortable with some of these issues. there are always big ticket items, right? For me, a landscaping change is can hugely detract from a building. So if I own a business and all of a sudden I take out every single one of my trees and I took out my lawn and I'm all dirt, that's a big detractor for the city, right? That's a concern that we've had, that some people have asked about removing significant landscaping.
Well,
We've kind of held them
so
off.
I'm actually asking if December 3rd is too late to make that decision, or do you feel that we
Oh,
need to make a
no,
decision?
I don't think so. I think that if we came with like very strong feedback at December 3rd, we can then draft something for review for like a following meeting. But I don't want this, in my sense, and in every city, you do want planning to look at a number of things.
Mhm.
And we're very specific towards historic structures, but for some reason we aren't on others. And as new things come up, and maybe we don't have that older building approach, we should also be applying some checks and balances on those ones.
And I think this is where it goes back to what I was saying a little while ago, that I would like it included, that the uniformity of procedures, the steps that are taken, and then taking a look at codes is also going to be important.
We are continuously looking at the code because there are some inconsistencies within the code, and there seems to be some areas where we don't have enough information.
Mhm.
To do an entire code overhaul at once, you would have to hire a company, and that is very expensive.
Right,
So we're trying to do it slowly,
right.
piece by piece, where it's worked within staff time, let's say. But I am aware, yes, there are things within the code. Accessory dwelling units is one of them. It doesn't comply with state law. We have the density bonus situation. We don't have compliance with state law. We have other things that don't comply with state law. We're making note of it, and we're trying to bring them as best we can.
Thank you.
All right. And then, yeah, then let's move forward. I think our consensus is let's move forward with it, but let's bring some more
Right.
some
So
more material for December 3rd. If we can get that before, and then we'll get you the feedback you need. So let's
Mr. Chair, can I just add something, if I may? If your purpose tonight, Erica, was to say, is this something that sounds like it should be done? And you're kind of sounding an alarm, expressing a concern. I think from what I've heard, the reception has been, yeah, okay, let's do something. In the materials that are going to be provided to us so that we can have a more substantive conversation next time, if you could also include either the citations to the San Juan Municipal Code or the code sections themselves that you're talking about, that might be better, so we can see what the actual text of the current ordinance says. And if there might be a way of even flagging those things that are deficient, that would be helpful for me anyway.
What we can do is I'll attach this, and it's just this section. We're not talking about historic right now. That'll be a future topic.
Right.
So I'll attach the section of the code, or the chapter of the code.
Mm-hmm.
We'll highlight the big area
Mm-hmm.
where this is where we have major concern. And then again, I'll provide a list, so you have it written, exactly what we're suggesting requires a
Perfect.
So if you want to cross it out, you cross it out, or if you want to add to it. We just wanted to know, because this is a change,
Right.
how do you feel about changing?
We hate change. No, it sounds like it needs to be done, so let's do it.
We're progressive.
yeah. We're all for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, that's all.
All right. So any further comments from our commissioners? All right, now seeing none, we're gonna move over to public comment on this topic. Any public comment in chambers? And any public comments on Zoom? All right, thank you. All right, so then we're gonna be moving on to item 4C, discussion of projects requiring applications. Staff, do we have everything? Oh, that was it? I am sorry. Woo, sorry. All right, that was quick. All right, cool. Then with that, moving on to 5, I know I asked for commissioner comments earlier, and just to reiterate, it's Commissioner Pisano would love to see the God, I am blanking out today. Procedures.
Procedural process.
Mhm.
Wanted to look at, again, at that roundabout and signage. as well as codes.
Great, so if we can see that on the next agenda, that'd be great. And then any comments from our community development director?
Yes.
I do have a comment when I'm just, can I clarify by procedure?
In enforcement procedure, code
What are
enforcement?
we looking exactly when we say procedure, like procedure when an application comes in?
Right, or changes like you were talking about, if it's minor, if it's major, what are the steps that public or residents are supposed to be taking?
Oh, okay, would you
As
like
well
a,
as businesses.
would you like a little presentation on, for the two, well, we have four, but we could do major and minor design review first.
Mhm.
Would you like a presentation on, this is what happens when someone comes in for a minor, and this is what happens when someone comes in for a major, and how we work it through the system?
Actually, what they would need to do.
Oh, what they need to do.
What they
okay.
would need to
Okay.
do, because, we're talking about educating the public as, with regards to what they need to do to be in compliance, what they need to do with regards to acquiring a permit,
Mhm.
and then proceeding from there, because as we know and has been discovered by the code enforcement, is that people are just doing whatever they want to do because they think it's okay to do. And so they're violating codes
Yes.
and they're not following procedures. So if we ourselves, and me personally, if I know, okay, this is what needs to be done, then I can actually articulate and discuss that with residents who may have questions. Because I think what's happening is that people tend to, ignorance is their defense.
Okay, we have a plan to bring for historic properties. That as a separate item, because we've already planned that one, and we feel there's a big need right now. We're having a number of issues, and we're trying to work and create some more information for the public. So I'd like to separate those two out if you're okay, but I can do the major and minor, because I think it'll still help anyways, as far as like
It'll definitely help. Yeah.
what the people need to do. I
Yeah,
think that'll
in
make it more
general.
clear. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
doesn't have to be historic.
Yeah, we are, like I said, working on our historic resources, because I feel like that's where we have such a very difficult situation right now with a number of people who are doing work without a permit or a building permit even, and they're getting caught, and then we have a number of issues. And that's where we had kind of flagged that before, where we sort of started directing all of our energy into how can we try to help people so we can eliminate that from having. If it's a house that you start working on that was built 10 years ago, it's a lot less complicated of a situation than a historic house that's on the register, right? Because if they do something, they can damage that resource.
Which reminds me, so the homes that are on the historic register, are they all aware that they have to follow certain procedures? And or that they're on the register?
I do not believe that all of them know. I
Okay.
think there is, there's a lack of resources that we have right now. Even going through the resources that we have, staff is having a hard time. If I am having a hard time, it is hard for the public. We are trying to use the initial survey, the 1981, the 2008, and the state's website to compile a complete list for people. As a preview of what we're gonna hopefully bring to you soon. What we are trying to do is both create lists that explain why it's important to not do, or create a handout that explains why is it important that you do not do work without checking with the city? Why is it important that you don't just start working on your house when you need a building permit, right? And then from there, we're trying to put together a comprehensive list, because we have two different lists right now, plus the state, that's a third list. And people will check one list and they're not gonna go check the other two, right? So we're trying to put them all together in one list that someone can easily look at, open it up, scan all the addresses, and if your address is on there, you have been registered with the state, you are a historic resource. From that, we have some other handouts we'd like to do. We'd like to make a presentation before the planning commission as kind of an explanation, so the public could hopefully see it, be a resource, explaining everything. And then our next thought is to start sending a letter notifying people that are on that list and telling them where the resources are.
Mm,
So it's a multi-step process,
okay.
because again, we have a number of projects that have started without a permit.
Mhm.
More so than I have ever dealt with in another city, so it's, to me, it's a little, difficult in the sense too, that I have so many people doing it, and when you have historic resources involved, I don't want them damaged, so it is a priority, we're working on it, unfortunately, it's just a very complicated kind of step that we're taking here, and we want to do it right the first time, I don't want to do it wrong, and we're back at it again in a couple months, so that's why it's taking us a little bit of time.
I was just wondering if maybe if they receive a letter that says you are part of,
Yes.
and then invite them to the presentation
do
that
that
you're
too.
talking about, then you have the public forum, they've been invited, they've been notified, so those steps have been taken. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, we can do that too. We can notify them of that hearing. And then we kind of danced around. Houses do sell. People aren't always properly notified when they buy a house. So a letter kind of goes out annually and explains you have a historic home. Historic homes have to follow a different procedure. This is where your resources are, and you can always call staff.
And I wonder if we can also include it on the website.
Yes, that's our plan, is that all of these resources, along with the surveys that have been done, so people have the full and complete survey.
And the
that all
list of the
yeah,
homes.
the list of the homes, the surveys, our resources, our handouts in plain English. Because again, a municipal code is not written for a person that just bought their first home and, wants to check a code to see what they have to do. It's written in a law-like fashion, right? And it's, most people don't understand it, and they shouldn't. So we, as planners, need to be able to provide them information to assist them, to help them out, so they don't have to do a lot of deep digging and hard work, and that's what we're working. So they have it all available for them on the web.
All right, sweet.
Can we start with a copy of your presentation today? I mean, is it,
We'll email it.
I have a copy already?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so we'll either, again, we'll table this. It sounds like we're trying to solve
In your-
problems right now, but we'll have it on the agenda for
I'm sure the
December
next
3rd.
one, I'll have that first discussion.
Perfect.
The commissioner mentioned, and then, our plan is to bring the historic resources to really we're still working on it, and hopefully we're moving towards, a planning commission meeting, so it's available sooner rather than.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
All right, any other items to add? Nope, none?
Just thank you for all the work. We understand that it's difficult and it's challenging, especially when you're short-staffed. And so we're here to assist where we can and support what we can, hopefully to clarify for the public as well as us. So thank you.
Awesome. And then I'm just gonna add on to something, and then I don't need an explanation, but for our next December 3rd meeting, with all these properties that are, people are just doing whatever they are to them, especially historic properties. I want to know what we're doing about issuing citations and what we're doing to hold these people accountable. We don't need to come up with an idea or anything.
I can answer it now if you want to know.
Well, we can wait till December 3rd. I just would like something that talks about what these fines look like, and are we going to hold these people accountable, and are they paying? Because enough's enough. So other than that, any other comments from our commissioners? No? Community Development Director, anything?
I have one comment. I'm not the community development director though. Our associate planner starts on Tuesday, 19th, Ilse is her first name. And she'll be introduced to the council at the council meeting, right?
All right, thank you.
So that'll give us someone here at City Hall and give some relief to our staff trying to work from afar. So
That's great. And then obviously city manager, anything else you would like to share?
that's it.
All right, great. With that being said, it is currently, my screen went off. It is for, the next regular planning commission meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. It is now 4:52 p.m. This meeting is adjourned. Screen's just like
Have them come out before Tuesday.
No, I think you're exactly
Me too.
Anyway, I did. I just really want to do it. But if you say you get rid of one, she was. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But I didn't like that. I go.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's okay. So, yeah, it's like I said, I don't make it frustrated, but I'm here to help. If I can help you with that. At least that. Thank you. I sent you a message for you to call. In other words, you have a question on it. This is the, your influence. That's not. When we're going before the county superintendents, right? Or supervisors. And that's gonna go before them to see where we're at right now. Are we gonna get invited to that meeting? And be told that that subject will come up and that we're all invited, that's what I was asking.
But first it's from the council on Tuesday, though, that's what makes sense.
Oh, yeah, right, they're gonna do that, everybody's gonna bless it, and that kind of thing, let's go forward. And then, that's what I wanted to hear.
Because the MOU will have to be on, so you're right, the MOU will have to be the board of supervisors.
Right.
And
Oh, my God, because it's gotta be part of the resolutions, all that good stuff. Yeah. And we gotta act upon it. So it's been, okay. I thought there was something else to share. Oh, I wanted to share. About. Oh, where's the next meeting? Oh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the other day. I don't know. There's stop sign, everybody seems to want to run, they run the stop sign around it.
What do they want?
Yeah, I haven't know, but.
Are we having another meeting? I think we're waiting until if we have another meeting, it will be about, focus, routine event for having.
Okay.
I don't know, I asked the council.
Yeah.
So that's council, what is the CC role?
Right. Right.
And you all both seem to.
And if we're gonna do more for them, let's talk money, let's talk a contract. That way they, well, maybe we shouldn't do this.
Private sector, I can.
Right, there you go. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ida.
Hey, Dawn, I don't know which one.
Thank you, Jose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for accommodating the meeting for 4 o'clock today.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks again. man.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Party too.
No.
You know what, they found that very, well, you know, off, or they usually come back.
Too many, I got in trouble.
You can't take too many pictures of movies, so they're on Oh, you were on a tour.
We were 20 people, and 10 of us were like.
Yeah, so they went on, I mean, obviously.
Right, yeah.
And have to usually go
So
off.
I got an e-bike and it was really hard with my wife.
E-bikes are fun, aren't they? So, and I was gonna say that, I just, yeah, time is just going by really fast, but I also wanted to let you know, Second Street,
Thanks
I'm
for,
crossing my fingers. I think I'm getting an offer tonight or tomorrow. Yeah, but I mean, it's still gonna be under because he said it, this one, it's a new guy, and he said it, I'm concerned about the neighbor. And he goes, you know, if I have to do tenting, is that guy gonna give me a problem? And so what is going on with him? Like I told you, I saw some stuff that were cut off. I mean, like, you know, trim. But yeah. So did John not move forward with hiring like a landscaper?
This fucking best way is like the journey.
Oh, John.
Yeah, but it's fine.
Okay.
89 years old or something.